All right, everyone. Good evening. We got a few people in here already. Luna, good to see you. Born, good to see you. Malengo, I see you. I hope you're having a good evening. Ariel, hello, hello, hello. And TC, you made it. Good evening. All right, we've actually got a few people in here waiting around. So good to see everyone. Jake, hey man, glad you can make it. Wendy, yep, I'm right on time today. How about that? I'm usually pretty good. Hopefully, we can avoid any technical malfunctions like last time. Ah, and I got my coffee ready to go. And there's PG. Dang, I'm cool. Hi, man. Good to see you. Welcome to the streams. Amelia, welcome. Doing pretty good. Doing pretty good. We actually had some heavy rain, potential flooding, that kind of stuff, but we're doing good. Nicole, welcome. Mortimer, good to see you. Been a while, man. Evening, Andrew. No technical issues. Yeah, just natural glow. And it's actually really dark in this room right now. The light's not even pointed at me. So it's just the camera here on my laptop picks up so much light. There's just nothing I can do about the glow. You guys just gonna have to make fun of me for it. But it's all good. Oh, hey, that okay. Good to see you then. Now I know who to place with the Discord name, Nicole. Thank you. Oh, thank you, Amelia. Thank you. Appreciate it. I actually, I've got a couple of these that I flipped out for a few videos, and I'm actually looking into potentially getting a few more backdrops just to kind of spice things up a little. So we'll see about that. But I did use this for recording a video, and instead of dealing with switching it back, I was like, you know what? It looks good. Let's roll with it tonight. So. Okay, so this has been a really busy and fun week for me. I've had a lot of people asking me to do a video on Tiamat and how she fits into Dragon Magic, possibly a summary on her lore and stuff. And I did want to do that video because she's definitely a dragon slash entity that so many people keep asking about. But it had been so long since her and I have sat down, chatted, and worked together. So I did actually spend quite a bit of time this week having a sit down and a chat with Tiamat again. That was a lot of fun, taxing and exhausting, but it was a lot of fun, and it did allow me to actually get that video recorded. So possibly next month we might actually be seeing the Tiamat video go live. So for those of you who's been asking me to do the video on Tiamat, I made a point to sit down with Tiamat and get that video up. I even made sure she reviewed everything that I put in the video and she was happy with it before I posted it. So there was that. I've also been working a lot this week with the Fae Queens and Odin and Freya. And Freya's been pushing real hard for me to get this ritual she gave me up and going. That deals specifically with working with Valkyries and all that. So that's also something her and I have been talking about a lot, and getting that fine-tuned and detailed and ready to go. I'm collecting everything I need and getting it set up. Actually, at this point, I'm just waiting to have the free time to actually go into the ritual room and do it. I'm thinking, looking at my calendar earlier today, I'll probably be doing that ritual Sunday or Monday night. So hopefully next Friday for Research and Ramblings, I'll have a bit more to talk to you about that particular ritual. Um, let's see, we got some comments in here. Ali, good evening. I have a question. I can see some similarities between Gnostic magical work and religious/spiritual magic. Is there any benefit in studying the religious text? Ali, this is a tricky one. It really is. And honestly, I'd say yes. I know that's a weird one. Probably didn't expect me to say that. Because I'm very much not a religious man. But in religious text, whether you're religious or spiritual or not, there is a great deal of wisdom to be gleaned from these texts. A great example of this is I know a lot of magicians who have the Wiccan Reed tucked away in one of their journals somewhere. It might not be in every one, but it's there. And the poem that was written that eventually became the Wiccan Reed, there's some good knowledge and wisdom in that poem. And much like any golden rule, it's an ideal that can be applied to just about anyone. But religious texts have those same little kind of nuggets of wisdom in there. So even if you don't believe in the direct religion, you can still gain from the wisdom. The same way that we do, quotes of wisdom and stuff like that. So yeah, those are definitely worth reading. And honestly, I personally find it great to understand different viewpoints and stuff. Even if I'm not the religious person, I do enjoy reading and gaining that wisdom and viewpoint so that perhaps we can find a common ground. And magically, if you understand that wisdom and viewpoints, it can also help you approach entities in those currents a little easier at times. So even as a non-religious or non-spiritual magician, I would say, yeah, there is some value into it. See, Mortimer asks, okay, stupid question. Are entities likely to take offense at private or unexpressed thoughts? No. As a general thing, no. Because I've had plenty of private thoughts. I know they can see them. I know they know they're there. They're more concerned with your actions and what you actually choose to do as to the random thoughts that pop in your head. That's kind of part of self-mastery. It's what you choose to do as opposed to what random thing pops in your head. So they are more concerned with what you choose to express and choose to say, how you choose to compose yourself, as opposed to random thoughts. Now, if those random thoughts are plotting and scheming against them, obviously that's a drastic difference. But just a random thought of maybe you think they're attractive or maybe you don't think they're attractive and you're afraid either thought's going to offend them, they won't care. If that makes sense, Mortimer. Also, we are getting some good questions in here. So do remember, we do have the super chat. So if you just want to make a donation to the channel to help support us and what we're doing, that's an option. You can drop us a quick donation. And if you're having a question that for some reason I'm missing it, because that's been happening, if you do the super chat, it flashes up real big on the screen and forces me to see it. And the donation can be pretty much anything that it allows. It does flash and stay on the screen longer for more, but I can't control that. That's a YouTube thing. But it is an option for whether if you want to donate and help the channel out or just make sure I see your questions. Let's see here. Where was I? Maurice. I'm doing good, Maurice. I really am. Welcome, Josie. Good to see you. Witchy Kid. I used the Bible verse in a spell before, and it really helped. I've known the Bible since I was a kid, and some verses are still meaningful to me. Yes, I know a lot of magicians that do this. In fact, and voodoo practitioners use Psalms all the time. So Bible verses and using them as spells and incantations in their own right. It's a very common practice, and it works. It really does. Especially when that verse has a personal meaning to you. Jake says, I did shadow work and then saw something about my past lives. You have you experienced something like that? Yeah, I did actually have a few run-ins with past life encounters and whatnot when doing shadow work. Um, but generally, it's because you're there's a kind of a repetition in things that are creating the same issues popping up. Um, and it's less about dealing with it in the past and more of dealing with it in the now to make sure you don't repeat it going forward, if that makes sense. A lot of people get stuck looking at that past life side of things. But when you do see that, it's about dealing with it now so you can stop the pattern because basically you're seeing the past so that you can attempt to see the pattern to stop it. It's not so that you'll go back and spend all this time in the past because it needs to be fixed in the present, if that makes sense, Jake. Cloud gazing? I don't know that I understand your question. Speaking of random thoughts, are these thoughts from us or from elsewhere? Let's see here, Nicole. Last night, in my digging of magical systems, I came across Magick that had warning all over it to read at your own risk. Is there dark arts we as students of magic should stay away from? You know, that's an interesting question, Nicole. That really is, and it's a good one. And honestly, the magic you should stay away from is really going to be a personal opinion. And it's also going to be about the knowledge of yourself. If you look at the video I did on the 28 laws of magic, number 2 is the law of self-knowledge. And one reason that that is so important, you need to know what your strengths and weaknesses are so you can know what areas and currents you can work with easily, what will push you out of your comfort zone, and what currents are going to be hard for you or potentially even dangerous depending on your personality type. A good example of this is cliffothic entities and working with the cliffothic tree and those really dark, chaotic, very direct currents. A lot of people are not ready to deal with that kind of dark, direct current. No matter how much healing it does, no matter how much strength it can give you, during the teardown process that starts the whole thing, a lot of people can't cope with it, and it does lead them to a very dark place, depression, and other things. So it's not that the system itself is bad, it's what the person can handle. Magic is honestly energy. Energy is energy. It's a tool. It's how we use it, and are we capable of using it? So when you say, are there dark arts we should stay away from? The technical answer on a energetic and magical level is no. But when you turn around and look in the mirror and examine yourself and say, what is it I can handle? That's where you need to be a little more cautious. If that makes some sense, Nicole. And awesome. Glad that does make sense. Cool. Also, great news. Our very own Luna inspired me this week to launch a contest. Now, the contest is specific to Discord members. So if you haven't, check out the link in the video below to join the Discord community. In there, you'll see an art contest channel for those of you who are artists out there or enjoy doing artwork of any kind. We are starting a contest that will be running till October 15th. On October 15th, myself and many friends and family members that I know of will be voting on all art submissions. And what's going to be happening is it's going to be Halloween themed, and it should be themed around the Working Dragon Mystic channel and the content we talk about on here. So anything that fits into that broad spectrum and Halloween themed. The winning submission will be put on a limited edition coffee mug that we will put on the Working Dragon Mystic merch site. I think we're only going to be doing a run of like 50 of these mugs. So it'll have the year and everything. So, you get all the whole special year you won the contest and stuff. The winner also gets a free mug. Of the 50, the winner will get a free mug for their work. So, and we will be announcing the winner on here. So if you're an artist and that's something you'd be interested in, definitely pop into the Discord, read the rules, and submit your work. Let's see. Oh, we got a super chat. Thank you. Josie Mello. I hope I'm saying that right. I apologize if I'm not. What is the hardest part about starting and maintaining relationships with the Fae? The rules. Getting to understand the rules of working with the Fae. That is hands down the hardest part. The next part, the second part that's the hardest, is understanding they don't view things the way we do. Everyone expects entities to view the world and the multiverse the way humans do, with our morals, our values, our ideals. They don't. And they're not likely to change their millions of years of existence to suit your view. So you have to also understand those are the two hurdles. And once you overcome that, it's pretty easy. All right, where was I in the questions here? I made sure to jump to the super chat. Don't worry, I'm coming back to catch y'all. Super chats get priority. And thank you for the question and the donation, Mello. Appreciate it a lot. Malangle says, any pro tips on connecting with servitors in the physical plane to keep them strong? It's really more about making sure they have a good source of energy. It's not connection. When it comes to servitors, there's really not a relationship there, like other entities, because it's something you created. So what you're going to want to do, if you look at the servitor video I created, you can tie it to emotional energy that's released when it does something to manifest what it is you've put it forward to. That's one of my favorite ways. So it's actually driven to continue that work and continue to manifest it, because every time it manifests it, that emotional reaction you get to the manifestation feeds it, keeps it strong, keeps it going. Your other option is if you're only creating it for one use and a set time period done, then I would just tie it to a singular energy source to run for that time period only, whatever that energy source may be. I usually like to use elemental energy for this style of servitor, and I tie it to the element that's going to best suit its actual purpose and programming, if that makes sense, Malango. Let's see. Mercer says, can a protective amulet keep you protected against a spell even when you deserve it? Yeah, technically it could. But depending on the magician or entity that you're going against, magical protections and barriers can be bypassed by a skilled magician. So if you deserve it and you're worried about a skilled magician that knows what they're doing, you better hope your amulet can outsmart the magician. Because no magical protection is foolproof. There's always a workaround. But technically speaking, if you've just got your standard run-of-the-mill new magician or practitioner and they're just slinging a basic spell, and your amulet, it just needs to bounce off an energy ward, yeah, your amulet could protect you. You're deserving or not deserving. Energy and magic does not care. Energy is energy. Let's see here. Yes. Let's see what we got. Ali asked, does smoking tobacco slash marijuana affect your magical training either externally or internally? The altered state of mind. Should I stop? Okay, this is a tricky one, Ali. Any substance that causes a mental or emotional effect on you can indeed affect your magic. Now, to this, people's like, well, shamans used to use substances all the time. Yes, and they were very skilled in the exact amount. And knowing that exact amount, that exact control, and that ratio is very, very difficult. And healthy mind and body does actually help your magic. So it does have an effect. And yes, there are times when people's like, well, this substance helps relax me, helps me get into a meditative state, helps me get into trance. And I would say on a beginner's level, if you're old enough to make that decision for yourself, that's your decision. But as you seek self mastery and self knowledge, I wouldn't want to rely on an external factor in my practice. I want to make sure I am the only factor involved. That would be my personal viewpoint. So that really does become kind of get into those personal philosophical areas, Ali. So for the magicians who use them, I don't judge. I really don't. For my personal students and apprentices, I really don't encourage it and I don't let them use it as long as they are working and training with me because I want to build up their personal facilities without tools or add-ons or crutches. That's just the way I train. But they do know once they get off on their own and their own little practice, then it's their choice. I hope that answers the question. But like I said, for those magicians who do it, I don't pass judgment. Let's see here, Wendy. So I know about the pure dragons. However, what would an impure dragon be? A wyvern is one. And why would one desire to work with a pure dragon? Pure dragon. Generally speaking, the bulk of your impure dragons, as you're calling them here, they don't have the same primal energy, age, and control. And generally speaking, they don't have the knowledge and wisdom. They are more animalistic. That's not to say all of them, that's just the general. So that would be one reason because the knowledge and teachings just aren't there in most of them. And when it's just easier to go and find an entity that's willing to work with you, that's going to be have more to teach you and take you further, that would be from a magician's viewpoint, that's why. But there are people who seek out these magical beasts and stuff in order to learn about them, and in some cases work with them. So that again, like anyone's path or practice, Wendy, would come down to somewhat of a personal view. But many of the half-breed and less draconic bloodlines, they just don't have the intelligence and cognitive functions that the others do. They become more bestial and animal-like. I hope that helps. Oh, Mello! I'm glad you let me know that. I would have never put those two together. Appreciate it, Mello. Glad you made it to the stream. Um, Jake, the best thing I can do is to make sure you keep it, you treat it with respect and you keep a reasonable amount of energy on it and you don't lose control of it. That'd be the big ones. But just make sure you treat it with respect and make sure it has the energy it needs to do the job you've assigned it because you're its creator. Hello, Animal Man. Good to see you. Magic Malango. And there you go. If you want to quit smoking, Ali, you got Malango. She's ready to jump in there with you. Let's see. Nicole asks, what experience in your craft has pushed you the hardest to help you evolve as a magician? Oh, that's a little tricky. Um, Overall, I'm going to say the dragons when I got to the high rulers. There's a reason that in dragon magic, the high rulers are set aside because no matter how well you prepare for them, you're not going to be prepared. But going in unprepared and jumping in too quick is just dangerous and stupid. But when I began working with them, it was almost like a hazing period, and they were all standing around with ball bats, and no matter which way I turned, I got hit. It was really a rough period. But every point and everything they'd done was to serve a purpose and to teach me. So it was a very hard period. But again, I was learning and I was growing through this whole thing. And they were constantly pushing me to go further and further in my practice and even beyond what I thought I was capable of. And they were pushing me to challenge what I was afraid of. So there was a point in my life where you couldn't get me in on an airplane at all. That was not a discussion. Um, and these are the entities that they literally fought with me to help me get over that fear. So they're always pushing me to overcome those fears and better myself and to evolve as a magician and to question that status quo and to push myself and my manifestations further and to never settle for just another day, just like everyone else. Um, so I would say was them, though that year where I did work with Azazel, but ironically, he was like, okay, instead of working with me, you're actually going to work with the Norse entities. But the catch 22 is everything magically you've learned over all your career, you can't use it. Nothing, not a zip, zero, zilch. Only thing you can do magically for this whole year is work in the Norse magic system and work with what those entities teach you, no matter how bad things get this year, no matter how sideways they go, no matter who needs your help. All you can do is utilize this. That literally cut me off from every safety net magically I had and forced me to dive headlong into a research process and a learning process like a new magician all over again. And that really pushed me and forced me to grow and to dive into rituals and throw myself into it in a way I wouldn't have done it if I had the safety net. Um, so I would say those two things are really the ones that pushed me the hardest. Hey, Halloween, you made it. Yeah, we got 24 watchers and 17 likes. Let's try and get the likes up, people. It helps the channel out. Lets YouTube know y'all like what we're doing. Oh, Witch Kit asks, do you have any advice about healing spells? Um, Generally speaking, on healing spells, just focus on healing the person as a whole. Try not to get too specific because you don't really know all the factors at play in most cases. Um, and try to keep it as broad and as a total healing as you can. Unless unless you're working directly with them at the whole time and you have the full story and you can really focus in like laser focus, broader healing is generally the better way to go. And also, you got to be careful because you might want to make sure the person ain't doing it to themselves because I've seen cases where people's doing healing spells and they're actually prolonging a person's suffering. So you got to be a little careful on those cases. Ooh, mint tea coffee? I've never mixed tea and coffee. I've had mint coffee though. That stuff's good. Nicole, you mentioned In one of your videos, I'm going on the offense to protect your loved ones. If someone is attacking you, what kinds of offensive magics do you use? Depends on the situation. One of my favorites of late has been the bone spell, which I shared in a earlier episode of Magical Coffee Hour or Research and Ramblings, where we was discussing baneful magic. And it essentially strikes the person's energy body and banishes them from my life. So I have no problem attacking the person directly if it's required, or just banishing them from my life and the life of those I care about. It really depends on the situation. In most cases, I generally just try to remove the person from the vicinity first, and hope they take the hint. If they don't take the hint, I got no problems going straight for their health. And usually, anytime I do a spell like that, I make sure they also have nightmares to know who sent it. Because when I do a spell like that, I'm not hiding. It's like I want them to know you screw with my friends and family, I'm going to get you. But yeah, I do. I work into baneful magics for stuff like that. I will fire the warning shot in most cases, give them a chance to just bugger off. But after that, that's it. Game on. Wendy, what does help? How does bloodline impact dragons? Perhaps why would a dragon stray from the common path? A wyvern with another entity. Bloodline by and large doesn't affect them, and honestly, most dragons don't stray. Few do, and they do so with permission. Like Tiamat's a perfect example of a dragon that would stray from the common path, but did so with purpose, reason, and permission. Um, and yeah, the multiverse is larger than the singular views and the common path. There's always deviations from the norm, but they do it. Or, and another thing is a lot of these half-bloods aren't a deviation from the path. It's honestly some other entity interacting, often humans or other entities that perhaps got a hold of the dragon's blood and created a hybrid. That has happened. Most of the entities that try stuff like that don't survive long. See what else we got here. See, I feel like I got physically attacked the other night and had a dream of something trying to steal my book of shadows. Should I put a protection spell over it? I've already written a protection sigil on it. Yeah, I make sure there's usually a protection spell on all my journals. I don't keep a book of shadows per se, but my grimoires and journals, I do make sure they have a protection spell on them. Now, one thing you said you have a protection sigil on it. One thing I want to clarify, just because it's a protection sigil and you draw it on there doesn't mean it's going to do squat. A protection sigil is just a symbol with no power. You still have to empower it, charge it, and activate it the same way as you would do a protection spell. Just drawing it on there is not going to do anything. So if you've already got the protection sigil on there, it should already be doing its job if you empowered it, charged it, and all that stuff. Thank you, Mello. I appreciate the compliment. I don't know that I'm the best. Might be one of the goofiest. I don't know about best. But I do my best to, well, yeah, I try my best. That sounds better. Like, what is the benefit of working with demonic entities? Well, by and large, what most people refer to as a demonic entity, Malangle, are actually usually ancient or old gods of one kind or another. And cultural shifts have chosen to demonize them and give them a bad rap. So there's nothing dark and overly spooky about them. It's just perception. Now, that said, of the entities that usually fall into that category, what would the benefit be? A large chunk of those entities are primal and chaotic. So they're very quick to work, they're very quick to teach. Their viewpoint is you're accountable for you, you're responsible for you. Any mistakes you make is on you. You're you're taking total autonomy and total ownership of everything that happens in your life. And because of this viewpoint, when you approach them, they're going to work with you. They will try to teach you, and they will use their methods, which are very direct and very straightforward. They care nothing about your comfort for the most part, which is what makes them so great for magicians because magicians like to get quick results. They like to progress quickly. And some magicians do want to take time, but if you're in a hurry and you want to work quick and reach your goals, these entities can get you there quickly, but it's not going to be a smooth ride by any means. So again, it kind of comes back to that, or the viewpoint of the magician. If you want to grow gradually, slowly, and comfortably, they might not be the best entities to work with. But if you're wanting to learn and progress quickly, no matter the cost, and you're willing to do the work and you're willing to do the strain, then they can help get you there faster, and they're not going to make you jump through as many hoops as some entities to test you because they're just going to assume you already know you because you are you and you should know you. And because of that, they that's where people do get in trouble working with those entities. Because it's like, I want to learn this. Okay. And next thing they know, the changes are so drastic in their life. They're not quite ready for those changes. And I mean, I've seen people ask for better jobs and they don't want to quit their job to get a better job. But that's kind of what's going to be necessary to open that door. And then next thing they know, they lose their job, they lose their home, they end up having to move states. But once the storm clears, they realize they got a new home, they got a new life, a better job, everything's exactly what they wanted, just didn't quite take the nice cushy path they was thinking of. So they can be very, very beneficial, very quick working, and they're very willing to work with you and teach you. Um, but again, that speed can come with harshness. So one good example I was given is think of both groupings of entities will get you to the same place. One's going to get you there quicker, but the incline is going to be harder. So it's going to be like you're trying to run up that hill straight. Whereas the incline for the other one would be much gradualer. You'd probably not even notice the incline, but you're going to travel a much longer distance to get to the same location. It's going to take longer. If that makes sense, Malango. Lurking's fine, and saving energy for work's a good idea. Work's important. Hello, Sophia. Sophia asked, can you work with blood magic with a dragon? Yes, you can. Actually, there are dragons that specifically work in the area of blood magic. Most of them you'll find in the fire dragons, amongst the fire dragons as specialty dragons. You will occasionally find some of them in cross elements as well, but there definitely are dragons that specialize in blood magic. Getting started, Ingus Salor, the ruler of the fire dragons, is a great person to talk to about blood magic if you're so interested in that. Animal Man, have you ever worked with Jesus? If so, was he different from what the Bible portrays? I have worked with him, still do to this day. Was he different than the Bible? See, that's hard because entities present differently from person to person. And y'all got to understand, I was raised in the church. I really was. I even taught in the church for a while. And as much issue as I may have with religion, Jesus personally never had an issue with. So him and I, we've maintained a working relationship, even though I didn't maintain the churchy views of it. So other than the fact that he's not trying to constantly save me, that's not there. But the personality he's shown me my whole life and having that working relationship with him, that hasn't really changed. But he also doesn't try to force the religious concept on me. So that's a really hard question, Al, man, because his personality really hasn't changed. He's always been very compassionate, caring, and understanding. And at least with me, it was all about that, my relationship directly with him. So just because I left the church, that didn't ruin mine and his friendship. Um, so that's a really hard one, but that's about the best answer I can give. It really didn't change. No, Book of Shadows is not necessary. Technically speaking, the concept Book of Shadows was created by Gerald Gardner. Very, very modern creation due to how young Wicca is. Until then, it was really just a collection of journals, notes, and grimoires that might be passed down through family member to family member. My journals, my research, my grimoires, personally, I don't have kids. I doubt I will. A few of them might be left to my goddaughter. A few of them might be given to an occult collector who has a library. And a few of them might be distributed amongst my students. But by and large, otherwise, they're probably going to the dump if I know my family. But no, it's not a necessary thing at all. Um, in fact, one of the reasons I believe in teaching and sharing what we know is putting it in a singular place like a Book of Shadows is the best way to make sure it doesn't get shared. So you're going to have to find a way to actually get it out there and get it amongst people, which the best way to do is to actually teach it or something and share it amongst as many friends as you can. Which is one thing I'm doing here. I'm trying to share what I've learned in hopes that those who watch this channel take the classes, they take what I've learned and take it farther than I can in my lifetime. Let's see. Whoa, we got a lot of questions coming in here. Joyce Milo asks, why is there so much power in our birth name or an entity's real name? Because it's our true name. And here's the kicker. Our birth name, there's no power in it. Truth be told, some of you already know this. My birth name has no power over me whatsoever because it means nothing to me. It's the meaning of the name to the person, and many of us identify by it. In fact, our name is kind of expressing in who we are. So when my first mentor, who wanted a son named Drake, just started calling me Drake constantly because I was a son to him, that name seriously became very important to me. And without me knowing, I realized someone would be hollering my birth name to me and I wouldn't answer. I almost got fired from work one time. My manager was yelling at me an hour. And somebody's like, that's not his name. And he's like, that's what's on his paperwork. And they corrected him. He hollered Drake. I turned around instantly. I don't even hear that name. It has no meaning to me anymore. So it's about the name's meaning and its connection to you. And for an entity, entities don't have the ability that we do to connect because outside the physical plane, you literally become more of what you are in your energetic essence. So what an entity's true name is has a great drastic deal of power over it because of how much of its identity that name actually contains. And that's really where that comes from. But our birth name only has power as long as we identify with it. And there's been plenty of people tried to use my birth name to hex and curse and all kinds of stuff, and I don't even have to defend that because that name means nothing to me anymore. Hasn't for 20 plus years now. Um, that said, though, the full name that actually does have meaning, it's not written fully down anywhere where anyone can access it because it does give that energetic, powerful connection. I hope that makes sense. Hello, Emily. Uh, hello, man. What position did you have in the church? Um, well, I was kind of an unofficial, oh crap, what are they called? What is it? Deacon. But the main position I held is I actually taught children's church for a long time and eventually ended up teaching a program called Royal Rangers, which is kind of like an outdoors group for the kids. Um, and due to that, I actually had to attend a lot of the seminary classes. They had to make sure I was qualified to teach and all that stuff. Um, which I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the outdoors and everything. So it allowed me to take the interest I already had and work with the kids and help them. But that's been a long time ago, very long time ago. Still loving the outdoors, but okay. Dragon of the West asks, I've got two questions here. How to cast a spell and what's the connection between magic and the so-called law of attraction? How to cast a spell is a very large question because you can go very deep and we could talk for days on that exact question because that could be depending on the spell, depending on the goal, all those different factors can play into that. The simple answer is to cast a spell, you need a way to gather the energy and to focus the energy to the goal that you're trying to achieve and or manifest, and then a way to push and release that energy. That is the technical short answer of the infinitely complex process that is casting a spell. Second question is, what does the law of attraction have to do with magic? In the 28 laws of magic, there's two laws. There's the law of positive attraction and the law of negative attraction. These two laws both serve a very drastically important purpose in the way that energy functions. And when a magician understands these two concepts and how energy functions and fluctuates, it allows him to respond to his environment and the world around him to create, control, and manifest and shape it to suit his goals, his path, and what it is he's trying to manifest. It is not a simple thing of put your focus here, keep your thoughts here, and you'll attract everything you want. It's not that simple. I wish it was, but it's not. I did do a video on the 28 laws of magic in which both of those two things are talked about, Dragon of the West. And there are a few videos on spell work too that might help better explain how to cast the spells. In fact, there's two videos on prosperity spells. There's one for quick money and a long-term prosperity spell. So there's two examples of two spells being cast using what I've described here, but it also shows two different variants in the process. I'd give those a check out if you could. You're gonna make Ingas feel old, Peachy. Let's see what we got. Nicole, have you worked with tulpamancy? I have worked with it some. Um, But by and large, the ways that I've worked with it is utilizing an idol or a vessel or something like that, where I would create a conscious entity or a servitor long term for specific uses and purposes. And I would house the entity into the vessel that I've created for it. Um, and every one that I've done has actually worked out really, really well. The first one, I kept it so simple. Did it work? Yeah, it worked. It was a success, but it's also boring. But some of the other ones have really come into play on their own very well. But I don't work with it as much anymore because I've made so many friends working with entities through evocation and soul travel. I have less need to create them, if that makes sense. You're welcome, Sophia. I'm happy to be able to share my knowledge. It's nice to get on here and have a cup of coffee or five with you all. Speaking of which, I need a refill. 1 second, got to reload. I'm a better streamer when I got coffee. Yep, you got it. That would be the name that attaches to you. Nicole asks, have you worked with Kabbalah Magic? Yeah. I've worked with the Kabbalah and the Tree of Life. I've done a path working through the Tree of Life 2 or 3 times now at least. And I really did enjoy it, honestly. Um, I'll admit the kind of Jewish Christianity religious symbolism didn't jive with me super much, but aside from that, and I knew that the symbolism didn't matter, so I understood, or didn't mean I was practicing that religion, I should say. And I did find it very effective and very useful, and it did help me in my growth process. In fact, that's one of the things that got my interest in studying Clifothic. And it's harder to find a lot more information on the Clifoth. And anytime something has restricted information, my curiosity just goes from interested to, oh dear God, I can't let it go. And that's usually when I get in trouble. But that is why I have started looking more into the Clifoth and trying to research it a bit more. And I am actually getting ready, possibly, I think at the end of this month, to get ready to kick off that Clifothic path working, the evocation again. So hopefully I'll be able to share a lot more about that particular path working and those teachings and my views and my findings on that with you all during these research and ramblings, possibly to help you out and hopefully to do some videos and start actually getting more of the information on the Clifoth out there. But as far as Kabbalic magic, I will not say I'm an expert or pro at that at all. That's not really one of my strong areas. Why is this was supposed to be turned off? What is? Shut up. Okay, sorry about that, people. That was supposed to be turned off. My apologies. Let's see. Yep, my friends and family do call me Drake. That's practically everyone knows me by it. Most people don't even know that's not my birth name. My family has trouble calling me it. They try from time to time, but they tend to slip and forget. But yeah, they do call me Drake. So, and I tend to just not answer. In fact, when I visit my mom, it's absolutely hilarious because, again, she'll holler at me and I won't know it. So my wife has to be like, hey, your mom's talking to you. It's like, oh, okay. But my mom knows I don't answer. So it's just this weird relationship her and I got now because I don't hear it. So we have a mutual understanding. She tries, she fails, but she also understands if you fail to use Drake, I'm not going to hear it. So don't get mad. But other than my immediate family of like 3 people, which is my mom, my 2 sisters, oh, and my brother, so 4 people. Those are the only family members I still have in my life at all. My brother does call me Drake. The other 3 are the ones that have the hard time, and they're the only ones that have a hard time. Everyone else in my life wouldn't even know Drake wasn't my birth name. Let's see. Great questions here tonight, people. Absolutely. You brought some good ones. Let's see here. Is that supposed to be goddess Gaia or Gala? Because if it's Gala, I'm not sure. I do not think I work with her because that name is not ringing a bell. If that's Gaia, I've worked with Gaia a few times. I've enjoyed working with her. Though when I do work with the Earth goddess in general, I work with her under the entity Jord from Norse mythology, who is the Earth. I don't really work with the Greek one as much, assuming I'm reading this, because like I said, the I's and L's in this particular chat room are a pain. So in that case, I found her to be a fascinating goddess when I work with her. I did do a working with her. It's been years ago, but she was patient, she was kind, she was healing, but she definitely, and this is something a lot of people fail to talk about with either Gaia or Jord, is the harshness, how destructive they can be, how they have no problem, as healing and creative as they can be, they have no problem completely decimating and destroying a person if necessary, because they are very much that embodiment of Earth and nature, and nature is beautiful and nature is harsh. And so many people forget that aspect. And did she come to me first or did I call? I called her. Most of the entities I work with, I reached out to them first outside of Odin, Freya, and the dragons, and Azazel. Every other one was my curiosity leading me to them. I just went and called them forth. I'm not one to wait around for someone else to call me. I'm proactive. Yay, Nicole's drinking coffee with me. Yeah, appreciate it. Let's see, Nicole, that's a big one. Thank you for being so down to earth and sharing your, I don't know about infinite wisdom. So let's just say sharing my wisdom. Um, you have the best content on your channel. Appreciate that. Should I dabble in other magic types of systems before jumping into dragon magic? Actually, Nicole, dragon magic is very beginner friendly the way it's set up. Even like the Dragon Magic 101 course, that course is priced at, I want to say $30, and it replaces probably 3, maybe 4 books worth of knowledge that's crammed in there. Because there is work that deals with building an astral sanctum, using your astral sanctum. There's journey work. There's even some starter evocation style stuff in there. There's contacting the different rulers, path working with them, your guardian, your co-magician. There's even meditations that touch on in there. So that course is a really great way to lay down a foundation of a magical practice. And when you approach dragon magic, especially with those first four rulers, and you take the time to work with them, get to know them, and really understand their teachings, they will quickly take a beginner and build a rock solid foundation for them to really go the long haul in their magical practice. So, yeah, I'd actually say dragon magic is great for beginners for that. Some of the rulers are very patient. Some of them are a bit more, come on, let's go. But having that balance between that patience and that gun ho-ness, it also helps to build the magician up and get them really ready to go. Okay, good. I was right. So it was Gaia. Okay, I read that right. Thank you for the caps. That was so helpful. Oh, I'm glad because I just realized I went into this big description before I got the um, clarification. Good to know my description wasn't wasted. Animal Mass, do you see the Earth as a living being? A singular living being? No. No, I don't. I do actually view the Earth as a spinning rock with a living ecosystem and a living mix of different energy currents that are interplaying together. And that's pretty much how I see the rest of the multiverse, too. It is a massive multiplanar ecosystem. It is true, there are embodiments, there are entities that very much have a correlation and a direct interest in the earth, such as Gaia, such as Yord, and these entities. But here's the kicker, they have an interest, they have a very direct influence here. But if you were to just blow up the earth and it was no longer here, neither Yord or Gaia would cease to be. They would find another planet to have interest in. So I see it as a living being in the concept of a living ecosystem that's even an energetic ecosystem tied to the multiverse as a whole. But that ecosystem is built upon a rock, if that makes sense. I don't see the Earth as a singular living being. I don't know if I'm explaining that well or not, but I hope that's making sense. Sleep well, Mystic Lavender White Wolf. Look, oh, you guys aren't going to let me live down telling you about that. Technically, Thor threw the goat. It's just Odin tricked me. Let's see, Young Lion. What's the one major benefit magicians report from working with Azazel? Knowledge and power. That's because you're asking what magicians report. What's the big number one thing he really tends to stand on? He's a fascinating teacher, and he will share knowledge so freely, so openly, and drive you forward to progress and ascend in your self-empowerment. So, from a magician's point of view, though, that is the major benefit. He's a lot more than that, but that is the major benefit. Joyce Malone, are you an empath? Just curious, I am. And if you are as well, do you have to cleanse your energy more often to feel stable? I've done my way to coping. Okay, yeah, this is a good question. Yes, I am an empath. I know I come across harsh to some people, and they don't think I'm an empath. Like, you don't understand. But what I do as an empath is, first off, I've worked very hard to control my energy and the energy around me. If an empath begins to do this, 90% of your problems go away. Secondly, I do grounding and meditation twice a day. I also do regular shielding. And when you do your shielding exercises and your grounding and your meditation, pull your energy in, pull it behind the shields. I have met so many people that shield, but their energetic aura goes beyond the shield. It's like, having a suit of armor and standing out in front of it while people shoot at it, the armor is not helping you. And it works the same way with energy. So when you do ground and shield, you need to pull that energy in. And that can be uncomfortable when you first start doing it. And when you make a regular practice of this, and actually, I would make sure when you first start shielding, shield in the morning, shield about midday, and shield, let's say, somewhere toward the afternoon. But definitely do a cleansing and grounding ritual and meditation morning and night. And you'll really start to see basically all those negative sides really start to fall away. And then as you study magic and you start to master the energy around you, yourself, and your environment, you'll find you even have to do those other things far less because you're the one that's in charge of your energy, not random contamination. I had some natural clairvoyant gifts as a child. Of course, growing up the way I did, I was told I was crazy, so no big deal there. So when I did come to magic, it was something I had to work on. The ability to hear came easier to me, clairaudience. So my hearing was always really, really good. When it came to clairvoyance and arcane sight, that one was one that I really had to work on and really try to um, open it back up. And it really took a lot because I did have a lot of doubts. And it's like, am I going crazy? Am I just making it up? Basically, the standard issue doubts I think everyone encounters that I've noticed as a teacher. But one of my teachers told me, it's like, let go of the doubt for a month and just lean into it and keep a journal. And that's what I did. And by the end of that month, the doubt was gone. And I really was getting a better handle on my arcane sight. And from there, I started doing different spell work and exercises to continue to improve it. Many, if not all of them, are currently in the arcane sight class that's on the workingdragonmystic.com school. And now my arcane sight, I don't close it. I leave it open 24/7. It's just something I do. It's a part of me. I love seeing all the different entities that move around and through and all that stuff. So yes, it is one of those things that I had to work on. Now, one thing I will say, if it doesn't come naturally to you, any metaphysical skill can be learned, even if it doesn't come naturally to you. Many of you know I hate the word gift because a gift makes it sound like if you're not born with it, you can't do it. And that irks me because any of these abilities and traits can be learned if you put the time and effort into it. Some people can learn them easier, true. But if you want to work at it, you can learn them. But yeah, I had to work at that one. I really did. All right, let's see what we got here. We got 108. So we're going to go ahead and close down because it looks like the wind is coming back, and so is the rain. So we might lose internet connection. Like I said, again, to remind you all, we do have the art contest going on. You have to be a Discord member, so join the Discord, pop over there, and like I said, there's an art contest channel on the side. It'll have the rules. And I just drew a blank. Oh, also be sure to join us on Sunday for the Magical Coffee Hour. We do have a Live stream every Friday and Sunday. Most of you already know that. And I do want to thank everyone for the support that they give the channel, the likes, the comments, the questions. You guys have been great. Um, one thing I will say to this in the Discord community, um, many of you will ask questions and you'll get an answer, but you keep asking the question because you're waiting for me to come around. And I appreciate that. I do. I love y'all to death. And I love answering your questions. But I can say this, my admin, they do a great job. And really, the Discord community, it wouldn't be a thing without my admin. I did choose them because they know their stuff, and they won't steer you wrong. So if they help you out, if they reach out and help you and answer your questions, do listen. They know what they're talking about. And I don't think I give a shout out to my admin enough. So Malangle, Peachy, Born, Halloween, I appreciate you very much. That community over there that we've got going, the great people constantly helping each other, the questions, the fun, the goofy conversations, the sharing the information, the learning. I couldn't do it. That Discord would not be a thing without you all. So I do very much appreciate it and everything you do to help me make that possible for all the people who follow this channel and my work. So definitely mugs up to you all because I couldn't do it alone. I highly appreciate it. All right, now during my little rant, there's some people asking questions. Let's check these out before we go. Oh, Ali, no problem. I understand slow internet. Believe me, man, I know that. I'm glad I was able to help you. Appreciate it. And thank you for joining us, Ali. I really do appreciate that. See, Vibman asks, are the dragons helpful in terms of helping you find the divination best for someone looking where to start and where to direct energy and time towards? I felt called. Yeah, actually, the dragons are really good at helping you find the divination style that would best benefit you or best would suit your interest and your styles. So they can be very helpful in that. And then when you do find one and choose one that you do adore and love, they're great at helping you master it as well. Thank you, Milo. I don't think I've been called wholesome before in my life. I really don't. That's pretty cool. I appreciate the compliment. And yes, I will see you in Discord. Are there magicians in the modern day community that I respect? Well, yeah, two of them y'all hear me talk about a lot. Raven, Bella, and Katrina Sanguine. Both of these women are very, very well respected magicians in my eyes. In fact, they are people I go to when I got problems. There's also a gentleman, he's been a friend of mine for a few years, Malcolm, wonderful magician, and great guy, as well as my friend Al. He's a magician, largely into ceremonial magic, so I do respect him. He's almost become like that grandfather in my life, really. He's kind of that guy I go to with all those really deep personal things. There was a magician that had a YouTube channel at one point. He closed it down. He hit a hard spot. So I can't say I know where he's at in his life now. It's been years and everything. But his channel was called Psycho Sorcerer, and this was probably 10 years ago, maybe. His approach, his ideologies and stuff, I have to say I did respect that. I didn't know him personally and all, but I did respect his approaches. So there was that. Um, Asenath Mason, the author, I love her works, the way they're laid out, her willingness to throw herself into her work, the risks she's willing to take, and share how just raw and blunt she can be with some of the research that she does and how she's willing to share it and how candid she's willing to be. Though I don't always agree with her work, I do highly respect her. Um, those would be the ones that come to my mind right off. I hope that helps. And for what it's worth, some of you may not count this, so I'm going to say I saved it for last, but I'll be honest. My admin, every one of them are magical practitioners. And though they may not view themselves at my level or they may view themselves as students or whatnot, I do actually respect each of them as practitioners and magicians. In the time I've worked with them very closely over the years and the discussions we've had, or well, I'll just say this year, I have grown to respect their viewpoints, their ideals, and their approach and their methods, and their willingness to learn. So there's that too. So, but that's a massive question. I hope that really kind of sums that up a little bit. I mean, if you're talking more like famous modern magicians, that gets harder. I don't know. It's hard to pick that one famous magician. You know what I mean? It does mean the famous ones. Ah, crap. Crap on a stick. Right now, the only one coming to mind is Asenath Mason, David Brand, and Gordon. Crap, I can't remember his last name. I'm bad with names. Is it Weinstein? No, it's not Weinstein. Crap. I can't remember his name. I apologize. Winterfield. Thank you, Mysterious Winterfield. That's it. Gordon Winterfield. Oh, thank God. I was about to say I can't get it. I got it. So yeah, those would be the more famous ones I know. Oh, not famous. Okay, cool. Yay. So I'm glad that helps. Let's see what we got here. All right, let's finish up this last bit. Before we go, would you recommend waiting until I finish my path working with the 4 rulers before attempting to work with Zazel, or it doesn't matter? Young Lion, that's a tricky one because they do work well together. They do. Can't lie. But when you're doing that first initial dragon magic work, path working, I do think it benefits to put your focus there and really dig deep and focus and build those relationships up. So I would recommend finishing it because when you start working with Azazel, that energetic surge and currents and the changes he can bring, the two of them in those initiatory phases can get a little overwhelming, if that makes sense. So from a personal viewpoint, I would recommend waiting. But you have to make that decision for yourself and what you're capable of handling. And they do work together. They are friends and allies, so they do work well together. It's just whether or not you can handle the energetic shifts that both things will bring at the same time. I hope that makes sense. Nicole, we love you too. Let's see. Bernold is counting the past live streams thrice heard and witnessed. What? Bernaldus, I'm not sure I understand your comment. No problem, young man. All right, everyone, I am going to pop. Yep, my word is my bond. You know that. All right, everyone, I am going to pop off here and have a bit more coffee, but try and unwind a little bit and enjoy this rain that's coming down. You all have a wonderful evening and a great night. Do remember, if you want to join into the art contest, you have to join the Discord. It is for the Discord members. But I do look forward to seeing all y'all's artwork. We got so many creative people in the community. It is amazing. I can't draw a stick figure, but you all do some amazing work. Some of the submissions are already rolling in. Remember, October 15th is the cutoff date. And till then, just keep those submissions coming in. The rules are in the Art Challenge channel. And be sure to join us Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the Magical Coffee Hour. We'll be live again to chat. Until then, y'all have a wonderful weekend. And stay safe and try to have a fun weekend. And hopefully I'll see a few of you in Discord. All right? Take it easy. Good night.